in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
All right, what's going on, everybody? A very happy Friday. Yes, that's right, folks. We made it through the week. Thank you so much for being here. And we have a lot to get to today and a lot to go over. You could be watching on the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network. Of course, we're on my personal YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. We got the YouTube Super Chat in effect. Your questions and comments will be heard. And we're everywhere. We're on Twitch. And, of course, the local AM/FM.ASHP. So there's a lot to get to today and a lot of breaking news, including George Santos, who was sentenced to 7 years earlier this morning. And I texted him about that. We're going to, scapegoat, bad guy. We're going to talk about it. We're going to try to figure out if you guys out there think that Donald Trump should or will pardon him. But I wanted to start off the story today, and this news broke yesterday by a woman by the name of Michele Fiore, who is a former assemblywoman, councilwoman, I should say. She was found guilty in October of 6 counts of federal wire fraud and 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. I mean, as it goes, and we're going to be joined by John Ralston from the Nevada Independent here in just a few minutes. I warned Nye County about this woman because she was appointed to be a judge out there. And when I heard she was running to become a judge, there was something called public comment where I had 2 minutes. I drove out there. Some listeners wanted me to go out there. I did. And I warned everybody about how despicable this woman was back then. She's a big MAGA pig, as I call her. She's MAGA pig. That's my nickname for her. And Donald Trump pardoned her yesterday. She stole money from a charitable fund that she set up to honor a fallen police officer to pay for her daughter's wedding and for cosmetics. It's an open and shut case. It's why she was found guilty. And Donald Trump pardoned her yesterday. But I warned everybody about her, and I warned the town council in Nye County about her a couple of years ago when they appointed her to be a judge. This was the public comment that I gave 2 years ago, warning everybody about this MAGA pig. Have a listen to this.
Thank you. My name is Brian Shapiro, spelled last name S-H-A-P-I-R-L. It's my understanding that the Justice of the Peace, you're looking for integrity, correct? Right? Is this integrity? This is a picture of Michele Fiore with panties on her face. This came at a time, it's not funny, this came at a time when I almost died of COVID. I was in the ICU for 2 weeks. She thought it was a joke, and she did this. Is that integrity? I'm just curious. If you guys support her, you support this. But it doesn't end there. Have you guys ever been raided by the FBI in your homes? I haven't. She has. Have you ever been accused of breaking somebody's fingers? She was. But it gets worse. It gets worse. I'm sure you guys heard this a month ago. The chair of the Republican Party, Amy Tarkanian. I don't always agree with her, but she's a nice lady, right? I think we all can agree she's a good wife. She's a good mother. Michele Fiore just slut-shamed her in public a month ago. A month ago. Okay, well, that's what happened. I don't really know what else to say. I mean, I have some of her quotes here. She called Amy Tarkanian Miss Alcoholic. She said panty dropper after 2 shots. Those are her words, not mine. Make no mistake about this. If you guys support her, then you can't spell integrity either, because you're going to have to explain this to your family. This is who you support. She says she has integrity. She has zero integrity. She's a horrific human being. I believe that wholeheartedly, 100%. Now, I'm sure people are going to come up here and they're going to say nice things about her. She could cure cancer, but that doesn't erase the things that she has said, her behavior, and the things that she has done. She is an embarrassment to the state of Nevada. She thinks people should have guns. Everybody in a courtroom? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. We have fights all over the country in the courtroom. Imagine if a victim's family of rape or murder is sitting in that courtroom and Michele Fiore thinks it's okay for those people to have guns? That's absurd.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
There you go. That was the Fiore several years ago. It didn't stop them from appointing her as a judge. And now Donald Trump pardons her. It's just despicable stuff. So I figured what better person to talk about this than someone who wrote a great article about this very alarming situation. From the Nevada Independent, that's right, John Ralston himself joining us right now, who's done a great job. They've done a great job in covering this story. John, it is a pleasure to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us again. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. So where do I even begin here? I mean, this is crazy stuff. And I read your article, which is great, and everybody should check it out. And we can't normalize this kind of stuff, right? John, this was an open and shut case. We have a national audience here. Can you give people a little background on Michele Fiore? Because she has been a very controversial figure for a very long time.
Well, we don't have enough time to talk about all of the terrible stories that have been written about her and all of her actions. She burst onto the scene as this very conservative assemblyman probably about 15 years ago now, Brian, and well before the MAGA movement and before she became a symbol of the MAGA movement. But she has done all kinds of bad stuff in her professional and political life. I uncovered at one point that she had $1 million in tax liens against her businesses. Her business was eventually shuttered by the state. It was a healthcare business. She has used campaign funds to pay her daughter long before she was indicted and then convicted on somewhat similar charges of using campaign funds or using funds that were dedicated for one purpose for another purpose. And that was a real obscenity she was convicted on because it was about a police memorial. You had a lot of people testify that they were misled, including the governor, who was a Republican, I should remind your viewers, who used the word victim to describe how he felt about giving money for a police memorial, a memorial to a guy who had been killed. But she is, she was elected by her colleagues in the assembly as majority leader, then had to immediately step down because of the tax liens. She has said that, and she said all kinds of other nutty stuff like cancer is a fungus and you can get rid of cancer by putting a PICC line in and shooting sodium bicarbonate through it. She is obsessed with guns. She sends out Christmas cards with an entire family festooned with guns, including kids. She is vulgar. She has said all kinds of stuff, including yesterday to a reporter from Channel 8 who reported on the story. She's a very nasty person who puts on this fake front of being someone who cares about the people because she has spaghetti dinners in the neighborhood to try to get campaign support. She is one of the biggest embarrassments in all of the decades I have covered this state, Brian, to this state, to the political system. And trust me, people who know her in politics agree with every word that I'm saying, including and maybe even especially members of her own party.
Agree. And John, I know that you're not surprised by this pardon. I'm also not surprised by it. Are you surprised that there was like zero explanation, nothing from the Trump administration, no statement, nothing?
I was surprised because usually when they do these pardons or commutations, there's some kind of fig leaf put out there to try to, cover why they're doing the pardon. There was nothing like that. Now, you have MAGA people like Roger Stone who have been tweeting for a while saying that she is a victim of the deep state and lawfare to try to get Trump to pardon. But no evidence has ever been provided. And by the way, people just need to read what happened at the trial. And then she asked for a new trial, and the judge wrote a long order specifying why she does not deserve a new trial. So there is no justification for this pardon. I'm not surprised, I guess, that even Trump couldn't come up with one if he even knows why he pardoned her.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit about our attorney general, because my understanding, the way the laws are written, and correct me if I'm wrong, our attorney general can go after her, for lack of a better term, where charges could be filed where Donald Trump could not, the pardon would not affect it at all. Do you feel like Aaron Ford will do that? And do you think that will happen? And eventually maybe she will have to pay the price for what she did?
I don't know the answer to that. I do know that Ford put out a tweet yesterday talking about how outrageous this pardon was. And I kind of facetiously responded to that tweet by saying, if only there was someone in a position who could bring state charges against her. Now, there may be statute of limitations issues with bringing charges, but there certainly are state statutes involving fraud, which essentially is what she was convicted of. Wire fraud is what she was convicted of. There are state fraud statutes. There may be others that apply, but will Ford do anything? You know, he's running for governor. Maybe he's not trying to get the MAGA base even more against him than it already will be. Although I think that really doesn't matter that much. If there's a case, will he bring one? I hope so, but I don't know if he can make a case.
Yeah, I hope so as well. That's a good point. So, John, what's even more concerning now is that my understanding, based on her statement, she's going to be back as a judge for Nye County. She said as early as Monday. Do you have any information on that?
So I saw that, and I had one of my reporters call the Judicial Discipline Commission, which has suspended her. She is currently suspended from being on the bench. Now, maybe she knows that suspension has been lifted. We couldn't get a comment from them, but they have a lot of power over judges too. Just because she wasn't convicted, just because she was pardoned by Trump, doesn't mean she wasn't still convicted of a crime at some point, and that just what she did in misleading these people, what she was convicted of, may be enough for the JDC, the Judicial Discipline Commission, to keep that suspension going. But it's either the Judicial Discipline Commission or Ford. I don't know of any other remedy that exists to keep her off the bench. By the way, that's just another ridiculous thing, Brian, that your listeners should know about, which is that she was appointed by the Nye County Commission to be a justice of the peace in Pahrump after she stepped down from being mayor pro tem at the city council because she was accused of racism by another city council member. And so she essentially fled Las Vegas to this place outside of Las Vegas, where they actually had the temerity to appoint somebody who's not even close to a lawyer, who flouts the law, as we've seen through her career, and including now as a justice of the peace. I mean, people listening to this must think that we are the most backwater joke of the state in the entire country.
Sometimes we are, John. I mean, some of my listeners, when they were considering appointing her, told me to go out there for public comment, which I did. I just played that video, and I just went down a laundry list of the despicable things she has said and she has done just in the last 5 years. And you know what they did? They read a letter from Donald Trump that, said, hey, you need to appoint her. You know, Donald Trump endorsed her, and that's why they did it. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you're just joining us, John Ralston from the Nevada Independent, we're talking about the Michele Fiore pardon that took place yesterday. So let's talk about Joe Lombardo, I'm going to call him MAGA governor now. I've just had it being nice when it comes to Joe Lombardo, but he called himself a victim, as you stated, in this case. Okay, Joe Lombardo was a victim. Do you think Joe Lombardo would make a statement and say, hey, I disagree with the pardon, I disagree with what Donald Trump has done? But yet Joe Lombardo last week, as you know, at a dinner was criticizing peaceful protesters who were protesting Donald Trump, and he was calling them, paid actors, and they don't really care about the issues. Despicable statements with no proof to back it up. But now he's a victim from Michele Fiore. He said it himself under oath. Do you think he would make a public statement and say, I don't agree with this pardon? No, of course not, John.
So here's what I think about that. I don't think it's quite fair of you to call him a MAGA governor. However, I understand why you were inclined to do so. And those remarks he made at the Lincoln Day dinner were just insane and offensive. And it goes to one of my theories of politics, going all the way back to Sharon Angle, the nutty candidate who ran against Harry Reid, who made all kinds of crazy statements when she went onto comfortable audiences or interviewers, and to try to appeal to the base or that audience. That's what Lombardo was doing, and I think he just got careless. And I think he said things that maybe that represents what he really thinks, that they were paid protesters or uttering an FU to people who troll him, as he said it. But there are times when he has had a chance, in my opinion, to make a public statement about something really outrageous that either Trump has done or someone like Fiore has done that he has not done. Now, I understand the considerations politically here, Brian. He's running for re-election. He wants to keep that base intact while trying to appeal to moderates. So he'll write a letter saying he protests the Medicaid cuts, or he'll write a letter saying don't put a tariff on lithium. These are just kind of nods to the other side. But I don't think that Lombardo can dance between these raindrops forever. I don't believe he's a MAGA guy, by the way. I really don't. You may recall during the debate with Sisolak that I moderated in 22, I asked him directly, do you think Donald Trump is a great president? And he said, I think he's been a sound president. I wouldn't use that word. And then by the end of the day, after Trump went ballistic and threatened to pull his endorsement, Lombardo was out saying he was a great president. And then the next day or two later, he appeared on a stage with him and called him the greatest president. So Lombardo was trying to have it both ways on this, and I don't think he can do it forever. If he can, it's going to be the most miraculous dancing between the raindrops that you and I have ever seen.
Yeah. So, John, I agree with everything you just said. So behind closed doors, I don't think Joe Lombardo likes Donald Trump. Okay. But like many others in the Republican Party today, he's afraid to criticize Donald Trump in fear that he can lose power and maybe not remain the governor. But in that speech he made a week or two ago at that dinner, he sounded like Donald Trump. Now, that might not be the real Joe Lombardo. You're right. He's trying to appease the base. I agree with everything you said. Just the reason why I call him MAGA Joe Lombardo now is because he puts on an act and he takes a page from the Donald Trump playbook. But I agree with everything you just said. I think behind closed doors, Joe Lombardo does not like Donald Trump, but he's afraid to say it publicly. Isn't it interesting, John, that today George Santos was sentenced to 7 years? Now, I don't know if George Santos is going to get a pardon, but a lot of people, at least in Nevada, I think, would say, how is it that George Santos gets sentenced to 7 years, but yet Michele Fiore will probably never spend 1 day behind bars? Like, what do you say to people like that?
Yeah, I mean, George Santos was a fraud, right? He faked his resume. He did all this stuff that is absolutely outrageous, and he's going to be in prison for 7 years or so unless he gets a pardon. Michele Fiore was convicted of defrauding people who she said she was soliciting money for a police memorial, a fallen cop, something that really should offend Joe Lombardo, by the way, and I think he probably is. And she gets pardoned by the president? Again, the specifics of this are outrageous, but let's face it, Brian, and I think you'll agree with me. This is emblematic of the Trump administration. He ran as being the tough guy, and we're going to enforce the laws, and they are completely flouting the rule of law here with literally no explanation for why he's pardoning her for something that seemed clear from the testimony and the evidence was an open and shut case.
Yeah. So, John, one more question for you, and I guess it's more of a loaded question just nationally. What's going on in this country right now? You've been doing this for a long time, and you do it very well. Did you ever think in our lifetime that people in this country, whether they're undocumented or not, that they would not have due process, that we'd be sending people to El Salvador prisons, that there'd be 10% tariffs to go around everywhere? What's going on in Ukraine right now, calling our allies and calling Zelensky a dictator and coddling to Vladimir Putin. President Xi won't even pick up the phone and talk to Donald Trump. Our economy is obviously headed in the wrong direction. Did you ever think that we'd be living in a country in our lifetime where all this stuff would be happening?
Oh, of course not. Although I have to tell you that we've never had anyone like Trump in the Oval Office, a pathological liar. And I don't say that blithely. It's easily provable. Probably while we are talking, he's telling another lie about something to some reporter, Brian. But I'll tell you the truth, and I've told a lot of my friends this. After he was elected in 2024, I wasn't that surprised, but I said to myself, you know what? There's a little bit of a stretch, but how bad can it be? I'm going to be zen. We're in America. Let's go on. We have to deal with this. We have to cover him. We have to cover the consequences for Nevada. I have to tell you, it's been exponentially worse than I thought it was going to be. And it keeps getting worse all the time. And this so-called Steve Bannon theory of flooding the zone with all kinds of nonsense every day to distract people like you and me from things, I think that works to some extent, but that is part of the reason I decided to write the column that was published this morning, is we can't let stories die. We can't let this kind of stuff be forgotten. It's okay not to be shocked by it. It's okay to hope for the best, but we can't let stuff like this go. People in our business, journalism has to stand. If the courts aren't going to hold up, and I hope they do, I mean, they arrested Kash Patel, who unfortunately is in Nevada and had a judge arrested today. If the courts aren't going to hold up, journalism is the last bulwark. And we can't let this stuff just be normalized, to use the word of the day.
Yeah, I agree, John. And that's why we need such great journalists like yourself and what you guys do at the Nevada Independent. And you guys rely on the good people all over the country to make donations. So I want you to give that information out, because what you guys do is so important, and you guys do such a great job. You have some great journalists. So how can people get involved with the Nevada Independent and support what you guys do?
I really appreciate everything you've said, and you always do, Brian. I'm really proud of the staff at the Nevada Independent, who are young, aggressive reporters just trying to do their best they can. We're a nonprofit. We're doing pretty well, but we can. I want to hire more reporters. I want to do more. So go to the Nevada.com and NevadaIndependent.com. There's a big support our work button there. Just give us $5 a month if you can. Whatever you can do, we appreciate it.
Yeah, please do that. John, you're great at what you do, and I always appreciate the time, my friend. Please keep up the great work and keep the fight going, and we'll talk to you soon, okay? Have a great weekend.
I don't have to tell you to keep the fight going, man. I know you're in it every day.
That is true. Thanks, John. I appreciate you, my friend. You take care. Have a great weekend, okay? That's John Ralston, everybody. Good man. Really good at what he does. Been doing it for a long time. Check out the Nevada Independent. They rely on good people like you who are listening to this show, just like I rely on good people like you. So we appreciate it, John Ralston, for taking the time to join us. So, yeah, we talked about Michele Fiore. We talked about the fact that Donald Trump pardoned her. She is a despicable pig in every sense of the word. She's a horrible human being. And I wish her nothing but the worst. And I've always said that about her. And I said it to her face just a few feet away when I made that public comment a couple years ago, and I warned people about her. But I know George Santos, and if you guys are unaware, as I mentioned in that interview, George Santos was sentenced to 7 years today. I know George. He's done my show before. I've had long conversations with George Santos. He did some very bad things. He stole money from a lot of people. He knows it. And I am not going to sit here and defend George Santos. I never have, and I never will. But I will say this. How is it possible that George Santos was sentenced and George Santos was convicted on fewer charges than Donald Trump? Donald Trump is a 34-count felon, and he's now the president of the United States, who will never spend one day in jail, I would assume. But yet George Santos is getting 7 years. Listen, I don't know if he's going to be pardoned or not. I don't know. He very well might get pardoned. I've said from the beginning that I don't think any president should have the power to pardon anybody. I stand by that. Do I think he might have been over-sentenced? Maybe. This was his first offense. Some very serious crimes. Fraud. He stole money from a lot of people. These are very serious crimes that he committed. I am not trying to downplay what George Santos did. It was wrong. It was awful. And he will obviously never be a politician again. But there are people in Washington, D.C. right now that have done far worse than him, in my opinion, and they will never see a courtroom. Does he get a pardon? I don't know. But why is it that the Michele Fiores of the world get off scot-free? Why is it that Donald Trump gets off scot-free? I have a serious problem with that. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this country and throughout the world right now, and we talk about a lot of serious topics on this show. But I got to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. The right-wing buffoons out there and the right-wing talking heads on Fox News, even on CNN, are embarrassing themselves by the day. And I want to dissect that with you before we take phone calls. So as all of you know, I am not a very big fan of Scott Jennings. I think he's an utter douchebag. The way he treats women, the way he interrupts women, the way he talks down to women of color, the way he defends Donald Trump. Scott Jennings is your typical right-wing a-hole. But I do like Laura Coates, because in this clip, he interrupts her. She doesn't put up with it. And again, it's Jennings talking about these judges that Donald Trump is defying. And I think it's a very interesting moment because you have a woman of color, and I think Laura Coates is a very intelligent journalist. I think she's very good at what she does. She ain't putting up with it with Scott Jennings. And I think this is a very interesting moment, and it is a lesson. If you are a woman out there, do not let a man talk over you and interrupt you and try to bully you. Have a listen to this because it happened last night.
The truth is, he's running into a wall of resistance in some of these individual federal district court judges. And I think the Congress honestly needs to step in, or the Supreme Court needs to step in, because it's not right what they're doing to this presidency.
Scott, first of all, I'm going to get you in here, Sochi, on this point. But first of all, some of these are Trump appointees, number one. And the idea of you're saying him not being allowed to.
I don't care who appointed them. I don't care. I don't care.
Here's what I do care about.
They're wrong.
I care when I let you speak and then you overtalk me. So here's the point that I was making. Some are appointed by Trump. And number two, the idea of not having them be able to govern when they're actually talking about assessing the injunctive relief. Sochi, these are sometimes temporary measures to then fully evaluate the actual claims that are being made before the court.
That is how you handle one of these right-wing scumbags. And I believe Laura Coates should be doing the show after that where Jennings is on the panel at night, because I think she would do a better job. And that is a masterclass on how to handle a douchebag, particularly a right-wing, middle-aged, crusty white guy who defends Donald Trump and puts himself into a right-wing pretzel every day. Kudos to you, Laura Coates. Great job. Shut that idiot up. Speaking of idiots, have you heard of this guy, Arroyo, who goes on Laura Ingram's show? This guy is an absolute imbecile. You want to talk about a lack of a man? This is a guy who spray paints his hairline, and spackled on foundation and service to the country, commenting on partisan TV. And he's trying to tell all of us what real masculinity is. I'm not kidding. He literally spray paints his hairline, and he's talking about Pete Buttigieg. And he's attacking, this is really what he's doing. He's attacking Pete Buttigieg for being gay. I want you to listen to what this moron Arroyo says, and you have that evil, racist witch. That's who she is, Laura Ingram. She's an evil, racist witch. And listen to Arroyo trying to talk about masculinity, because God forbid if you're a man and you happen to be gay, you can't be masculine, according to Arroyo. Again, the guy who spray paints his hairline, and he is less of a man than anybody on that network, as far as I'm concerned. Have a listen to him go after Pete Buttigieg.
Authority. And then poor Pete. I mean, Mayor Pete is not exactly the one you send out to get the young bro crowd. I mean, you may as well send Dylan Mulvaney doing a makeup class and hope you can get more guys to watch.
It's funny how he thought like growing the beard would somehow change everything. It didn't.
Make us forget.
They're talking about masculinity, and they wear the Donald Trump knee pads 24 hours, Mr. Arroyo. Take your knee pads off and wipe your mouth before you go to sleep. They succumb and they look up to the man who gets up in the morning and puts on 8 layers of orange makeup, the guy who wears a girdle, who has 4 hair transplants, who dodged the military. And they want to talk about masculinity when it comes to Pete Buttigieg? Pete Buttigieg is a man's man. I don't care what his sexuality is, because that has nothing to do with the conversation. He's a good father. He takes care of his family, and he speaks truth to power. That's a man. Not a guy who shows up on Fox Noise and a guy who spray paints his hairline and a guy who tries to preach to us on what masculinity is, and you want to attack somebody because they're gay. That's what's going on here. That's Fox News, and that's the far right. They attack people for being gay. They attack women. They attack certainly people of color. It's Make America White Again, because they are a bunch of bigots. And Arroyo is a joke. Not to mention his voice sounds like a frickin' chipmunk. And then there's Jason Chaffetz, another idiot on Fox News. Listen to Jason Chaffetz say that all of America's problems, or top problems, have been caused by 2 Democrats. And he's speaking to Barack Obama and Joe Biden. Folks, I am not making this up. Forget about all the problems we're having with the tariffs. Forget about the problems we had with COVID. Forget about the problems that we are having with people not getting due process in this country, the economy, inflation headed in the wrong direction, people losing their jobs, the disgrace that is and was Doge. But Jason Chaffetz on Fox News is saying that it's all Joe Biden and Barack Obama's fault. Folks, these people have less credibility by the day. Have a listen to this.
Almost all of America's top problems were caused by these two Democrats. And now President Trump is working overtime to clean up their mess.
What? First of all, my head's about to explode, okay? Look at the economy that Donald Trump took over in 2016. Last I checked, Barack Obama had to pick up the pieces for the lousy economy that George W. Bush left him. The economy was in good standing. Unemployment numbers were no. NASDAQ was doing fine. The unemployment numbers were fine. Donald Trump took over a pretty damn good economy in 2016. And look at the numbers before COVID when Donald Trump was in office, and then look at the numbers when Joe Biden left office. Night and day. By the way, Donald Trump got us $8.2 trillion in debt. I know that the people on the MAGA far right have Alzheimer's. They're in the bunker, and they seem to be very forgetful. So let me just get this right. Inflation right now, the problems that have occurred with these tariffs and the American consumer struggling, the NASDAQ, the Dow down 900 points again, people losing their jobs. Somehow that's Barack Obama's fault. Somehow that's Joe Biden's fault. Behind closed doors, we're learning that Donald Trump has been speaking out saying he didn't think that ending the war in Ukraine would be this difficult. Well, then maybe you doofus, you clown, you stupid moron. Maybe you shouldn't have said you were going to end the war in 24 hours again then. You idiot. But yeah, according to Jason Chaffetz and Fox Noise, it's all Joe Biden and Barack Obama's fault. Anything that happens under the Trump administration will be either Joe Biden's fault, it will be Barack Obama's fault, it'll be George Soros's fault. We'll blame it on immigrants, whether they're documented or not. And if that doesn't work, just blame it on brown people. This is the playbook from the Donald Trump administration. It's an embarrassment. It's a joke. And to the Scott Jennings of the world and the Arroyos and the Jason Chaffetzes of the world, you're all despicable. You're disgusting. When Hillary Clinton used the term deplorable, she was talking about people like you and all the inbred MAGA imbeciles that listen to all of those talking heads on the right. They're in their right-wing echo chamber. They have zero credibility, and it's an embarrassment. Speaking of an embarrassment, let's talk a little bit about Mr. Kennedy. No, not Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the other Kennedy that happens to be a MAGA Republican that is in office right now. Because he was asked on right-wing echo chamber TV about the possibility of AOC running for president in 2028. Now, listen, I've said that's probably not a good idea, but it's not because I don't think AOC's not intelligent. I think she's extremely intelligent. She's an extremely intelligent, accomplished woman. I like her fire, and I think she could be a great vice president. I don't know if she's ready to be president yet, but it's not because she doesn't have a lot of wonderful qualities. She's very smart. She's very good at what she does. I think her message is very powerful. But you see, the right-wing playbook is, oh, well, she's that bartender, right? She served drinks. God forbid she could work an honest job to help pay her way through school. Listen to what Kennedy said on another right-wing echo chamber radio show when asked about the possibility of AOC maybe running for president 2028.
In terms of the Congresswoman, look, I encourage her to run. I hope she does run. I understand. I listened to her speech. I understand her slogan is going to be change begins with a mustard seed, which I think is interesting. I guess if Governor Pritzker runs, his slogan will be, you can have a tummy and still be yummy. I don't know. I just think with the Congresswoman, if you scratch the surface, you get more surface. I don't think she has the intellectual firepower to run a campaign to be president.
Yeah.
But I hope she does.
Yeah, but you do, you imbecile. Listen to that guy talk, first of all. Forrest Gump over here. Forrest Gump Kennedy. I don't think she has the intellectual fortitude to be president. Listen to her slogans. Yeah, you dip, you know what? Make America great again. You want to talk about slogans? Make America safe again? Yeah. You idiot. But you want to talk about, I don't think she has the intellectual fortitude to be president of the United States. Yeah, God forbid a beautiful woman that actually happens to be educated in a minority. I know that would threaten somebody like Kennedy, another old, crusty, white douchebag. Make America white again. I'm Mr. Kennedy. We want to make America white again. I'll see you at my Grand Wizard Clan rally tonight. We're going to make America great again. Stand back and stand by. I don't think I listened to AOC, and I listened to her slogans, and she wants to plant the mustard seed. God, what a bunch of dumbasses. And Kennedy's the a-hole. And I want to say things about him that I can't say because we have FCC regulations here. But Kennedy is the piece of human garbage. Do you remember that terrorist attack that took place at New Orleans? Terrible. So many innocent people losing their lives. And do you remember the first press conference? Kennedy decided to make a joke and attack a member of the media for being on the left. Do you remember that? He tried to make a little joke when people didn't even know that they lost their loved ones yet. And this scumbag, that's what Kennedy is. He's a piece of human trash. Kennedy, I'm praying right now to God, the evangelical right. Are you listening? I pray that Mr. Kennedy is deported to Gaza. I pray right now, God, please send Mr. Kennedy to Gaza, and you could bring the other Kennedy with him, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Send them to Gaza and don't bring them back, and maybe they can build their little Trump resort there. Please don't bring them back, because those are the people that I want to be deported. Not so many immigrants in this country that are nonviolent criminals, whether they're legal or not. I want them to stay. I want Kennedy to go. Get that white supremacist out of this country and let him stay wherever he goes. Get rid of Kennedy. And then we go back to CNN. Because Ungar Sargon is another right-wing buffoon and a talking head for the Republican Party. And I think CNN gets some really bad Republicans to go on there. Sometimes they get some good ones. There's a lot of bad ones out there. And I want you to listen to Ungar Sargon, who goes on usually at night on some of those panels, and that's what took place last night. Listen to what she said about iPhones. I was unaware of this, that iPhones were $1,500 and now they're $3,000. I haven't heard this before. But again, spreading misinformation, and she's talking about the price of gas and the price of food, yet she supports Donald Trump, and in the first 3 months, gas prices are up across the country. Inflation is up, and she's spreading more misinformation. Have a listen to this buffoon.
I just want to make a quick point about inflation. We act like, inflation of all things are equal, and they are not equal. It is not the same if a person who can afford a new iPhone every year has to pay $3,000 for it instead of $1,500, as it is if
double the price?
As it is if a working class person can't afford gas and food. Those are not the same.
That's true.
We cannot measure those as the
that
same.
is true, but
that's not a priority.
Hold on. It is true that the cost of an iPhone is maybe not as important as the cost of gas and food, but the cost of food is not going down either.
But the cost of gas is going down. The cost of gas has gone down. Yes.
What is she talking about? What is she is there anybody out there that believes her? iPhones were $1,500, now they're $3,000. Let's blame Pete Buttigieg for that. By the way, she's blaming about the cost of groceries, yet groceries are up under Donald Trump, and he campaigned that he was going to lower the price of groceries. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up, how ignorant this woman is, or at least maybe lying, maybe not ignorant, but just intentionally lying in front of a national audience on CNN. And here's where it continues, because she says she has a pro tip for Democrats, because she's going after Larry David and the amount of money he is worth. Oh, boy, do I have a lot to say about this. So if you don't know, Larry David was going after Bill Maher the other day, as was I. But I think Larry David's message was a little bit stronger than I, because he had made the case that Bill Maher had dinner with Adolf Hitler. I didn't go that far, but certainly I've been on it with Bill Maher, because Bill Maher was the guy who said, well, I had a 2.5-hour dinner with Donald Trump, and he was very gracious to me, so we don't really have a lunatic in the White House. He just plays one on TV, which is, by the way, a ridiculous thing to say. The real Donald Trump is the guy that attacks women on looks. The real Donald Trump is the guy that attacks our brave men and women in uniform. The real Donald Trump is the guy that has unprotected sex with a porn star and raw dogs her for 13 seconds 2 weeks after Barron was born. The real Donald Trump is the guy who brags about sexual assault. That's the real Donald Trump. So what? So he was nice to Bill Maher for 2.5 hours. Bill Maher knows who the real Donald Trump is, but he's lying to his listeners. And he's lying because he wants that MAGA base to do his show, because he wants the ratings. Larry David was right in criticizing Bill Maher, who was a two-faced phony prick, is what he is. But listen to Ungar Sargon on CNN yesterday attacking Larry David for all the money he has. Have a listen to this.
And I just have a pro tip for any Democrats who are thinking about winning back the working class, those people who make under $100,000 a year, who a majority of whom voted for Trump, you should have a visceral disgust for someone like Larry David, who's worth $400 million, sitting there and sneering and smearing the hardest working Americans for refusing to co-sign their own disinheritance. That's effectively what they are doing when these millionaires come out here and call Trump Hitler. They are calling working class Americans Nazis because they chose the person they thought would give their children back the future they were promised by this country. And it just has to stop. And you know what? Honestly, I don't care if the Democrats get this or don't, but they should get this, because this is a big part of why they have lost, because they have these rich people. He is so wealthy. I mean, how did
they're all wealthy.
Donald Trump is a billionaire. He pardoned the Camp Auschwitz guy. He had Nick Fuentes and Kanye West over for Thanksgiving dinner. He's not exactly Nazi averse.
He's also the father-in-law and grandfather of Jewish children. Come on, Trump has done more for Jewish people. I'm
Trump has a long record of anti-Semitic comments, too. He's got a long record of it.
You know what? Actions speak louder than words. He may have said some stupid stuff in the past. What he's been doing, cracking down on Harvard with their anti-Semitic policies.
That is a lie. It's not a, you know it's not about anti-Semitism.
Alan Dershowitz, who was there for 50 years.
Alan Dershowitz has punched his own ticket, my friend.
Yeah, Alan Dershowitz, the guy that was on Epstein Island. By the way, I'm Jewish. Donald Trump hasn't done anything for me. In fact, he said because I didn't vote for him, I need to get my head examined. Okay? Just because he coddles and does a circle jerk with Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't mean he's doing a lot for Israel. And he's certainly not doing a lot for Jewish people in this country. I think that's a load of nonsense and crap. And the fact that Ungar Sargon, who obviously is so partisan and such a hack on CNN, she's talking about rich people. Well, here's one big fundamental difference. There's probably thousands of fundamental differences between Larry David and Donald Trump. Larry David, who I'm actually a fan of Larry David. You see, Larry David made millions and millions of dollars making people laugh. Donald Trump made millions of dollars conning people his entire life. Do we understand the difference there? And if this ignorant woman wants to talk about money, let's talk about money. Donald Trump's administration is worth somewhere along the lines of around $60 billion. That does not include Elon Musk. Can you please name me another administration that was worth that much money, and all the billionaires that are in Donald Trump's administration right now, if she really wants to talk about money? You want to know the people that Donald Trump hangs out with? It's not everyday people. It's not people that are working paycheck to paycheck. It's people that are living at Mar-a-Lago, people that are visiting Mar-a-Lago, middle-aged and older white Republican elitists. Those are the people that Donald Trump surrounds himself with. So if this imbecile named Ungar Sargon on CNN wants to talk about money and the rich, then maybe she should talk a little bit more about Donald Trump and the crypto scandal that he's got going on and all the scandals he's done his entire life, whether it be Trump University or all the businesses that have shut down or have filed for bankruptcy and all the cons that he has done. You see, I haven't seen any Democrats in office that were selling Bibles made in China for $3, selling them in this country for $60. You want to talk about all the con man himself, the con in chief, who is charging people upwards of $1 million to pray with him. That's all this man does is care about money. He doesn't care about his friends. He doesn't care about his family. He only cares about his very close tech billionaires who donated a lot of money to his campaign, and he only cares about himself. If you want to talk about net worth and how much Donald Trump is worth. Oh, but he doesn't accept a salary. Really? His net worth has grown 5 times, and that's being nice, since he became president that first time around. The hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that he received in donations that he kept and put in his back pocket. But she wants to talk about money? Give me a break. And this guy Fogelsang, who was on this panel yesterday, did a really good job, and again, destroying Ungar Sargon, who was talking about we need to trust Donald Trump. We need to trust this man. America needs to trust Donald Trump. And Fogelsang just absolutely destroys her in this part of the segment.
Supposed to rely on what Trump says?
Listen,
China
How do you not trust China but trust Donald Trump? His planet Earth. Yes, very much.
I think that's really sad that you trust our greatest adversary more than the president of the United States, who was elected by over 80 million of your fellow Americans.
The majority of people who showed, the majority of people who showed up to vote voted against him in 2016, 2020, and 2024. There's no mandate to speak of. I don't trust China, but there is no reason.
You dispute that he won the election?
No, I tell you that the majority of folks who showed up to vote in all 3 elections voted against him. He never cracked 50%.
Cumulatively.
He never cracked 50%. He has no mandate.
To give preference to China over the president
it is not saying about Bill Clinton. Why should I believe that Donald Trump is telling the truth about anything at this point? How can our allies believe it? Who's going to enter into a deal with us after pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal, pulling out of Paris Accord?
30 countries are waiting to do just that. We can't even get
tourists to come anymore. People are deciding, you know what, this year I'll try North Korea. Tourists aren't coming here anymore. Nobody wants to be in business with us because of this. But it's not popular, and he's not an honest man.
Vogelsang speaks truth to power, and I think he's really good at what he does. Notice how stupid that woman is. She's talking about the mandate. By the way, Democrats have not used that word. Joe Biden got a mandate. I don't recall one Democrat ever saying that, even though his victory was far greater than Donald Trump's victory in 2024. Notice how stupid that woman is. Notice when Vogelsang has said what I've been saying since the election, this is not a mandate. Donald Trump did not crack 50%. Less than 50% that went to the voter booth, less than 50% voted for Donald Trump. Same thing happened in 2016. Same thing happened in 2020. He's 150% correct. But yet Republicans want to call it a mandate when less than half the people that voted for Donald Trump. That's not a mandate. At least give me the majority. The majority did not vote for Donald Trump. That's not a mandate. And then you see her stupid reaction. Are you saying that Donald Trump didn't win? What? He wasn't saying that. Democrats aren't saying that. What we're trying to do is try to explain to idiots like you that this is not a mandate. It's not a mandate when less than half the people that go into a voter booth vote for Donald Trump. That's not a majority. That's not half. Okay? You don't have to be a math major to kind of figure that out. And she's so stupid, she doesn't even understand what he's saying because she's the idiot who uses the term mandate. And then she correlates that to what he said as, oh, are you saying Trump didn't win? No, he didn't say that, you dummy. God, these people are so stupid. It's not a mandate. He has the lowest approval ratings 3 months in office than any American president in our lifetime. Joe Biden was somewhere in the mid-50s, I believe 55% approval rating. George W. Bush was at 63%. Barack Obama was at 62%. Guess where Donald Trump is at now? 44%, the lowest approval ratings in the history of this country 3 months in office. There's a reason for that, because our economy is in shambles. Our egg prices continue to rise since day one, even though they might be down in the last 2 weeks. Who cares? They're not down 95% with what Donald Trump said. They're up since day one. Grocery prices have not gone down. Gas prices have not gone down. People are losing their jobs left and right. And now Elon Musk has given up after torturing people. He's just given up and he's walking away. I saved you $1 trillion. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. The White House is even saying it's $140 billion, which would be 14% of $1 trillion last I checked. And by the way, that's not even verified. So he's just walking away. I don't want to get in politics anymore. Yeah, well, apparently you don't want to be in politics anymore. You don't want to be a father either. You've never done that your whole life. This is not a mandate. The country is on fire in a bad way. We are more divided than we have ever been. And Donald Trump is one of the main reasons why and is responsible for this. And that has nothing to do with Joe Biden. That has nothing to do with Barack Obama or George Soros or DEI hires or minorities or documented or undocumented immigrants. It has everything to do with Republican policies because Republicans do not know how to govern, because they prove that every single time a Republican president is in office. It happened when Bill Clinton left, and he left us in a surplus, and then George W. Bush got us in an ill-advised war and destroyed the economy. And then Barack Obama took him 8 years to pick up the pieces, left Donald Trump a great economy. Look at what happened there. The whole country was locked down and people were losing their jobs. Oh, I know, Brian, you can't blame Donald Trump for COVID. Yes, I can. I can blame him for his response to it. 15 cases down to 0. It's going to be gone by Easter. He lied to the American people. He lied to you suckers out there. He said he was going to hire a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton. He never did that. He said he was going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. He never did that. And he lied to all of you suckers out there, you inbred imbeciles. He lied to all of you, and you believed it when he said the war was going to be over in 24 hours. How's that working out, Mr. President? How's that working out with China, too? President Xi won't even pick up the phone and won't even talk to you. How's that working out? How's that Israel-Palestinian conflict working out for you, Mr. President? You going to own Gaza? That's a great plan. His plan in Ukraine right now is to tweet on Truth Social, stop. That's his plan. It's funny, gas prices aren't lowered. Inflation didn't fix that problem, did he? The economy, the unemployment numbers, all seem to be headed in the wrong direction. It's not Joe Biden's fault. It's not Barack Obama's fault. It's Donald Trump's fault. But you MAGA Republican doofuses can still remain in the bunker with your Alzheimer's. Take off your Donald Trump knee pads before you go to bed. After you pleasure yourself to your Donald Trump poster, go to sleep, and then wake up in the morning and you still won't have more money in your bank account. Your stocks will still be tumbling. But go ahead and blame liberals and go ahead and blame Joe Biden. Go ahead and own the liberals. How's that working out for you? You dumb idiots. That's what you are right now. And I am, I said this the other day, and I'm going to say it again. I have never put every Trump supporter in the same category, but I'm going to do it now. If you voted for Donald Trump in 2024, and I'm only going to focus on that right now, and you can't admit he's doing a bad job and he's dangerous, and you can't admit that you made a mistake, and you can't admit that the first 3 months have been an absolute disaster, then you are an imbecile. I put you in the Marjorie Taylor Greene category. You are an imbecile. And you have no idea what's going on in this country right now. You're complicit. If you voted for Trump and you can't admit that you made a mistake now, if you voted for Trump and you like what's going on in this country, it's one of two things, right? You're either extremely stupid and ill-informed and you're in the cult, or you are informed and you know what the damage he's doing to this country, but you're selfish and you're somehow gaining from it. That's it. Either way, I don't care. You're all imbeciles, and I wish they would deport you all to Gaza right now. Do what Ron DeSantis did. Let's put you all on a bunch of planes with a bunch of brochures, give you a $20 gift card to a fast food restaurant, have a nice day, and don't come back. See how you like it when you don't have due process. You stupid idiots. Here's what we are going to do. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to take your phone calls. It's time to hear from you. We've talked about a number of different things on this show. We had John Ralston on, who's debated presidential debates from the Nevada Independent, talking about the Michele Fiore pardon, another MAGA deplorable that was pardoned by Donald Trump, already convicted, stole money from a charity that was supposed to put up a statue of a fallen police officer, and she used it for cosmetics and her daughter's wedding. Donald Trump pardoned her with no explanation. We're talking about that. George Santos' reaction. He was just sentenced today to 7 years in prison. He has to report to prison in a couple months. Do you think Donald Trump is going to pardon George Santos? That and much, much more. We're taking your phone calls on the other side of the break. The number to call is 702-221-7283. We are also going to go to the YouTube Super Chat when we come back, and we will read your questions and comments when we come back as well. We also have received some donations on pushingthelimits.live. We'll go to the YouTube Super Chat when we come back. We'll take your phone calls when we come back. Again, MAGA callers, welcome. You happy with what Donald Trump has done in the first 3 months? If you are, I think you're an imbecile. Prove me wrong. 702-221-7283, 702-221-SAVE. Your phone calls, the most interactive show you will find anywhere. We'll be back with your calls right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Greenview Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercials, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. Also, my thanks to John Ralston from the Nevada Independent. Isn't he great? I just think he's a great journalist, and I'm so appreciative to him. We'll get to some phone calls here in just a few minutes. I want to go to the YouTube Super Chat. Of course, your questions and comments can be heard on there with donations, and I do want to go to them real quickly here. If I may, you could also check out the website. Thank you, Alan, for your donation and the super sticker. We appreciate you. You can also go to pushingthelimits.live. The Weirdo says, pardoning Fiore, arresting judges in Wisconsin, sending illegal immigrant from Venezuela and Michigan to El Salvador. Welcome to MAGA America. Yes, I agree with you, Weirdo. We appreciate your donation as well, by the way. Thank you very much. No Money says, Trump turned the world against us, and investors are avoiding the USA like the plague, as they should. The U.S. economy is a very large moving entity. Everything will continue to crash. Also, Alan says, seems a clever way to keep groups fighting, groups other than theirs. Said you're a blank or did blank. I want to say F you. And we'll read the rest here in just a little bit. But thank you so much for those of you that are supporting the show in the YouTube chat. We certainly appreciate you very, very much. And, of course, pushingthelimits.live. Julie, thank you for your support. She went to pushingthelimits.live, and she says, Brian, I listen to your show every day with my husband. Thank you for what you do. Thank you very much. Mark, with the donation as well. Mark says, thank you so much. Happy Friday. Thank you, Mark. We appreciate you. They went on pushingthelimits.live and made donations. All right. Let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen. Some people say this is their most enjoyable part of the show. I think it depends on who's calling in, but the number to call is 702-221-7283. Let's start off with Sarge. Sarge is first up here on PTL. Hi, Sarge.
Yeah, how you doing? My name is Sarge. I'm first-time caller. Last week I saw you in YouTube, so I'm going to say, right now when I saw you, her name is Audra Sargon or something. She was on the CNN. Mm-hmm. It just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Let me say, my name is actually Sargon, but since I was a kid, they call me Sarge.
Yep.
And I'm a Syrian, just like her. When I listen to these Assyrian people, it just drives me nuts. This man, the orange man, I call him Chucky. You know, the doll who killed people. The doll who looks like him, walks like him, is a Chucky. He insults Assyrian people. He embarrassed Assyrian people, popular people. And I don't understand why in the hell these Assyrians are supporting this man. Even my family supported that. I said, are you guys stupid or what? You know,
I would say yes. I would say a lot of these people are stupid at this point in 2025. If you can't openly admit that your vote might be wrong and you still support Donald Trump, then you're an extremely ignorant person. Either that or you're very selfish. It's one or the other, right?
Correct. Even though 2017, I remember he said we didn't know shit people from shit old country. It was in the Middle East too. And
well, yeah, he was talking about the squad. I remember that when he said, go back to your S-hole countries. Imagine a president of the United States talking like that. Yes, people voted Donald Trump back in. It's disgusting. Sarge, I appreciate your call. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Frank. Frank is next up on PTL. Hey, Frank, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Hey, good.
I saw an interview with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And he was a question about how the countries are coming our way. He said he had 200 countries lined up for the tariff.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I can't believe this.
He also said that they're all kissing his ass, yet he hasn't named one country and he hasn't named one president because it's a blatant lie. Everything this guy says is a lie. He's a narcissist. He's a compulsive liar. Literally, everything he says is a lie.
And why can't people understand? The Republican Party has not done their job. They've taken away instead of helping people pass laws and help people get through life.
Well,
that's horrible.
I think there's a lot of people that vote against their own interests, my friend. There really are, and I appreciate your call. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to try to remain on topic today. That's what I ask from these callers. We're talking about a number of different things. George Santos, do you think he deserves to be pardoned? He was just sentenced to 7 years behind bars. He's going to have to report to jail in a couple months. We talked about the Michele Fiore pardon. Donald Trump pardoning her yesterday with absolutely no explanation. It's absolutely despicable. And, of course, you look at where the country's at right now and the talking heads on the far right. Every single day it seems to get worse and worse. All right, 702-221-7283. The next caller is Jeff. Jeff, welcome to Push It. Hello, Jeff, are you there?
What up, fraud?
What up, fraud? Okay, so as I
Stealing
always...
money from your...
pod you down again. So, Jeff, as I said before, and I say again, we are going to remain on topic. Now, obviously, you're someone that suffers from PTL derangement syndrome, which is totally okay, Jeff. I will still work with you. So, Jeff, not that I need to defend myself to an idiot like you, but, Jeff, the person who you should be concerned about is the guy who you support, a 34-count felon. Just to let you know, Jeff, you could look up my name. I've never been charged with a crime. I've never been convicted of a crime. So now that we've surpassed your idiocy, Jeff, let's try to see if we can have a semi-intelligent conversation. I don't think you can, Jeff. I don't think you're capable, but that's okay. So, Jeff, are you okay with the pardon of Michele Fiore? All right. You're obviously not capable of having a conversation, Jeff. You're obviously not a very intelligent person. I'm going to assume that you're a middle-aged white guy who's very angry at himself, that has probably never been touched by a woman or a man his entire life. But that's okay, Jeff. I'll give you one more chance because you guys make me laugh. You're very, very funny. So, Jeff, when was the last time you were laid? Can you answer that one for me, friend? When was the last time that a woman actually touched you and you didn't have to pay for it, Jeff? Because I read an article about you, Jeff, and it said that you're like a 55-year-old male virgin, and no woman has ever touched you, Jeff. Jeff, is that true? Has a woman ever touched you before? Or are you the MAGA deplorable, unemployed idiot who calls into this show because I grow on you like a fungus, and you say to yourself, because it's the highlight of your day, ooh, I can't wait to take my little orange fingers and call into Brian Shapiro's show and call him a bunch of names. Hee hee hee. It's so funny. Hee hee hee. Jeff, are you not capable of having a semi-intelligent conversation? Go back home and get your GED, Jeff. What do you think about that?
You won't.
Bye-bye. Have a nice day, Jeff. Bye-bye. I hope it was worth you waiting on hold. Bye-bye. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's see. Let's go to Terry. Terry is next up on PTL. Hey, Terry, thank you for calling in. What's on your mind?
Brian, happy Friday. For the Fox Entertainment show Idiots, I have a couple of things to say about those pieces that you shared from them. First of all, Trump does not work overtime. Sorry to say, he does not work overtime. And it's very interesting to me that the other idiot goes along with the whole thing of, well, the economy was so much better under Donald Trump. Let me tell you something, Brian. Fortunately, I have not had to touch my retirement yet. I retired last year, and I've lost 25% of my retirement since he's been in office. 25%.
I'm so sorry to hear that. And you're not alone.
And we'll be okay. We'll be okay. But I'm just putting it out there, out into Earth One here.
Yeah.
And the last thing is Kennedy and the, quote, intellectual fortitude. He might want to look in the mirrors at himself.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing about, the woman on CNN talking about Larry David and that business.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, who surrounds himself with billionaires?
That's very true. And again, I point out Larry David made a lot of money by making people laugh and bringing joy to people. Donald Trump has made a lot of money by scamming people his entire life. Like, there's no equivalency. And any idiot that goes on CNN or anybody that claims, oh, it's the liberal elitist, again, $60 billion is Donald Trump's administration, what they are worth. And he's just started this new crypto scandal again. Everything with him is a grift. Everything. Everything this man
Absolutely.
does is a grift. He sells his Trump Bibles, $3 made in China for $60. He sells his trading cards. This is a guy who begs for donations. This is a guy who sold part of his suit when he was for his mugshot. I mean, this is a guy who, for whether it's gold sneakers or Bibles or whatever, everything is a grift with this guy and people around him, including Melania Trump, who sells her stupid $99 Christmas ornaments and her unreadable book.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, have a good weekend.
Thank you. You
Thanks
too.
for taking my call.
Appreciate the call, my dear. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Mark. Mark is next on PTL. What's going on, Mark?
Good afternoon, Brian. I believe that the arrest of this judge is just the beginning. There's a lot more to be coming down the pike.
Yeah.
A new logo for the GOP should be a triangle, and at the top of the triangle, it should have a hood, and the bottom of the triangle should be a robe.
Well,
yeah,
that's that. Mark, you know this, right? You know this, Mark. For years, I've been calling this a Klan cult. I believe it is a Klan cult.
I get that.
Yeah, it completely.
But I want to bring out a Associated Press article that just came out. And do you have any idea how Trump got the idea of sending migrants to El Salvador? What the real reason was?
Tell me.
According to the Associated Press, Matt Gaetz in 2024 went down to El Salvador, visited that prison, and came back and told Stephen Miller that that prison will take away all will to live. I think this needs to be looked into. And that just snowballed into what we're seeing now.
Yeah.
That came from the Associated Press.
I believe it. I believe it. I think a part of it also has to do with money. I think there's a financial agreement there, and somebody's making money.
That was second, because he wants to get rid of all immigrants. But the money part came in as an afterthought.
Right.
Also, I don't think George Santos is going to get pardoned because Republicans hate him. But who I do think is going to get pardoned, and if you remember, after that person got arrested, he wished that person luck. Maxine Glassine, Epstein's cohort.
Yeah.
I think she's going to get a pardon.
Very possible. We know Donald Trump was friends, very close friends with them, and it was actually Jeffrey Epstein that once called Donald Trump his best friend. He was caught on audio saying that. Look, unlike some people, I've gone to both political rallies. I went to a bunch of Kamala Harris rallies. I had the opportunity to meet her, and I went to Donald Trump rallies. And I will always remember this. Rally I went to back in last June, when they were campaigning hard, or at least Trump was. I didn't want to go. I was going to stay in bed that morning because it was the weekend. And it was actually Ron Filipkowski from Midas Touch that convinced me to go. He said, it's important that I'm there, get some video. I said, okay. I went in there, not really, I shouldn't say an open mind. I was just going to record what I was going to record. I knew what these rallies were going to be like, but it was worse than I thought. It felt like I was at a Klan rally. It had that cultish type feel to it. I saw people with shirts and signs that said F Joe and the Ho. I saw Confederate flags. I documented all of this stuff. There were people that recognized me at the rally that were yelling at me, telling me to get lost. And I said, nope, I have the right to be here just like you do. I spoke to a woman who was selling Trump Bibles. And I asked her, what do you think Jesus, there's videos of this on my YouTube page. I said, what do you think Jesus would say about a 34-count felon, liable sexual abuser, adjudicated rapist? And she said she really didn't want to answer my questions because she's there to sell merchandise. And I said, I understand money's more important to you. I documented some of the gold sneakers that I saw that were selling for $500, $600 that were probably made for like $5, some of the cheapest sneakers I've ever seen in my life. And there was a lot of hatred. I felt the hatred there. It was a lot of hatred, a lot of bigotry, and 99% white. So I made a video that day. And I said it felt like I was at a Klan rally. Went on social media. Some of my videos went viral, and they were certainly retweeted by the right people with a large following. And I took a lot of flack from a lot of people on the right, which I don't care, for calling it a Klan cult. I said it then, and I say it now. This is a Klan cult. Donald Trump's base is made up of a bunch of ignorant, ill-informed, uneducated white people who live in their mobile homes and probably have relations with their cousins. I believed it then, and I believe it now. And I will always feel that way unless somebody proves me otherwise. This is a Klan cult, a bunch of ignorant, dumb, ill-informed, stupid white people who still support this guy. That's why 93% of black women did not vote for him. 80% of black men did not vote for him, but 54% of white women did. I find that very interesting, even though he wants to take all of your rights away over your body. He disrespects women left and right his entire life. You are in a Klan cult, and the reason why this country is in the shape that it's in now, and yes, we're not doing very well. I wish that wasn't the case. The economy is crumbling. The stock market is crumbling. Inflation is not on the way down. Gas prices are not on the way down. A lot of people that have lost their jobs and their livelihood in this country. And I'm starting to stop blaming Donald Trump, but the people that still support him more. It's your fault. How do you look in the mirror and tell your wife or tell your kids that I support an adjudicated rapist? How do you look in the mirror? How do you live with yourself? You can't be a good family man at this time in November. It voted for him in November, and at this time in late April, and tell me that you made the right decision in voting for this orange orangutan, adjudicated rapist, 34-count felon. You can't. Your excuses don't work anymore. And don't say, oh, I like his policies. That doesn't work anymore. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the program. Let's go to Larry. Larry is next up on PTL. Hey, Larry. Oh, we lost Larry. Okay, let's go to Jay. Jay is next up on PTL. Hey, Jay, what's going on?
Hi, good afternoon. How are you today, sir?
Hey, good. What's on your mind, Jay?
So this message goes out to LVMPD officers and their families. I'd like one or more to call in with their opinion as the decision to let Michele, give her a pardon, Michele Fiore a pardon.
Yeah.
In the face of two Metro officers. Their names are Alan Beck, Igor Sogo.
Mm-hmm.
They died 31 years old and 31 years old while they were eating lunch in the line of duty. And how much more vile can you be than to take money that was dedicated to one of those men to honor them and misappropriate it?
I'm so glad, Jay, I want you to continue. I just wanted to say I'm so glad you brought that up and you mentioned their names because I covered this story when it happened and I spoke to one of the widows. And you had two police officers that woke up in the morning and were just doing their job and they were friends and they were partners and they were having lunch together. I believe it was a pizza restaurant. And these neo-Nazis came in there and executed them. And then, you know, a lot of wonderful people in this state and in this city do a lot for law enforcement, and I certainly recognize them. But you have this evil pig in Michele Fiore, and that's what she is, who decided to lie to people and say she was going to run some sort of charity to put up a statue for one of the officers, one of the fallen officers, and she stole money. You have to be a certain type of scumbag to be able to steal money from a charity, in this case, a fallen officer or officers, Jay. And yet, where is Joe Lombardo, the MAGA governor of the state of Nevada, who called himself a victim here, did not put out any public statement disavowing the pardon that Donald Trump inflicted because he's a coward. That's who our governor is in the state of Nevada. He's a coward, is Joe Lombardo. He's a coward. And he's a former police officer. He's a coward. Any decent human being, Republican or Democrat, would say, Mr. President, I disagree with this pardon. I was a victim as well, and she needs to be held to account. But the only reason why Joe Lombardo will not do that is because he wants to remain in power, because he is a scumbag. Let me repeat again. The governor of the state of Nevada, Joe Lombardo, is a scumbag, Jay. He's a scumbag.
Well, I said what I needed to say. I would just love to hear Metro officers or their family members call and comment about what they have to.
Absolutely, Jay. Absolutely, Jay. And by the way, I want to say thank you for mentioning the names of those 2 fallen officers who were sadly killed in the line of duty, Jay. And I appreciate you doing that. That's very, very important. Thank you.
Incredible tragedy.
I agree.
Thank you.
I'm with you, Jay. Thank you so much. I will always back the blue. I won't make it convenient like the Republican Party does. But if a bunch of officers are beaten on January 6th, call them hostages and patriots. Do you notice how so many in law enforcement that are MAGA right didn't call out those who beat cops on January 6th or the pardons that Donald Trump gave to those individuals or this pardon of Michele Fiore? No, they stay very silent, don't they, when Donald Trump does something like this? 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Who are we going to next here? Is Larry back on? Okay, let's go back to Larry. We missed him earlier. Hello, Larry. What's on your mind today?
Doing good, doing good. How are you doing today?
Good, good. What's on your mind?
Oh, as far as like these pardons and like this judge, he's to go to jail in how many months?
Yeah.
You know, the average person commits a crime and they don't get to see daylight.
Right. Correct. That's true.
You know, I'm tired of the double standard, whether it's, and I know you just said you love back in the blue, but ignorance is ignorance. We are told we are not allowed to be ignorant of the law, but a police officer gets qualified immunity because he's ignorant of the law, and he's the one that's issued a badge and a gun.
Yeah.
And many more civilians die at the hands of police officers than police officers die at the hands of civilians. The majority of the police officers that pass in the line of duty, guess what? They're on the side of the road being road pirates and getting hit.
Yeah.
The government wants to put them in danger because they don't care about them. They just want the dollar. You know, $6.2 billion in 2023 just in speeding fines.
Mm-hmm. These are very
sorry.
These are, well, you don't have to apologize. I agree with you. These are very strange times that we're living in. Let me reemphasize what I said. Okay, when I say I back the blue, I always go into something assuming that a cop is a good cop. There are bad cops out there as well. But I would like to think that the majority of police officers are decent people that do a good job. When there's bad policing out there, I'm the first person to call it out and talk about it on the radio. I do it all the time. But I would like to think that many of them are heroes and do their job well. However, I agree with what the last caller said. If you're a cop, whether you're retired or whether you're in current law enforcement and you defend Donald Trump's pardon of Michele Fiore, then you can go to hell. That's what I say. Go to hell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No question.
You know, but it's gotten too far, and just like him, you know, 34 counts, this and that, and he's standing at the top.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, you or I, 34 felony counts would not be seeing the light of day.
Agree. You know, that's why when you apply for a job like McDonald's or somewhere, right? When you apply to a job.
Ask you if you're a felon.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. Thank you for the call, my friend.
You know,
I really do appreciate you. I got to move on to the next caller. I agree with everything you just said. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Nerdy. Nerdy is next. I like the name, by the way. Nerdy is next up on PTL. Hello, Nerdy.
Hi, Brian. How are you today?
Hey, I am doing good, Nerdy. I'm a nerd, by the way, at heart as well. And I take after my dad, who's a big Star Trek fan, by the way. So, yes, I'm a nerd at heart as well. I just wanted to throw that in there. What's going on, Nerdy?
We love a nerd. So, recently I was given the privilege to moderate a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And the people in there are very angry about it. And they think I'm being biased, but I'm just following the rules that the person gave me. And they're bullying me, and they're being very rude. And I don't understand because I'm not doing anything I'm not supposed to be doing. So maybe you could tell your viewers that you made me the mod and to cut it out because it's not personal. You're getting in trouble, and you might get demonetized.
So it's very simple. First of all, thank you for moderating. It's pretty simple. You're not allowed to throw vulgarities out or threats, and we ask that you be respectful in the chat of everybody's opinion. Now, I do a radio show, and I talk to people the way I want to talk to people on the air. But when we're talking about typing on a social media platform, there are rules and regulations put in place. And if you're not willing to follow those rules and regulations, then you are going to be dropped and you might not be able to come on again. That is the job of a moderator to do that. So I don't know why anybody would be angry at you. Be respectful to one another, and that's it. And there's a lot of people in the chat that are saying you've done a great job and you're awesome. So there's always going to be a small percentage of idiots, the loud minority, as I would like to say. There's always going to be a percentage of idiots out there that don't want me speaking truth on the air, and they want to attack anything and everything about me, about the show, because they want to try to censor me. And these are the same people that talk about freedom of speech. So you just keep doing what you're doing and do what.
Well, listen, I'm not blocking people if they're personally attacking me. I have not blocked anyone who personally attacked me. I haven't timed out them. It's because what for?
Yeah.
You know, I'm just asking them not to attack each other, not to use certain language.
Of course.
That's literally all I've asked. I haven't done anything to anybody. It's wild, and it's a little egregious. And I really just think.
Well, I'm going to say this.
Down. It's new. It's new, and they're upset, and I understand that. It's natural to be upset and new things.
Well, guess
but
what? This is me now. If anybody is obnoxious to you or rude to you or disrespects you, I give you permission to block them, and I quite frankly don't care.
I won't be doing that.
And I quite frankly
don't.
That's
not fair.
Okay.
I want to be fair.
All right. Well, I give you permission. I'm just saying. But I appreciate you doing that, and everybody be nice to Nerdy. Thank you, Nerdy. Thank you for doing what you do. I appreciate you. 702, everybody be nice to her. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the program. Mr. Canadian, I'm going to assume he's calling from Canada. Hello, Mr. Canadian.
Hey, how you doing today, Brian?
How are you? Good to hear from you, my friend. What's on your mind today?
Well, what's her name that got pardoned this afternoon? What's her name?
So it was yesterday. Her name is Michele Fiore. This is the woman who is a big MAGA Trumper, a despicable human being who took money from a charity that was supposed to be put up for a statue for a fallen officer and then stole the money. This is an open and closed case. She was already found guilty. She was supposed to be sentenced next week.
Okay, and you did say she brought it for cosmetics, and what was else?
It was her daughter's wedding. You can go into detail of some of the stuff that she used and allocated funds for, but those were a few of them, yes. And it was proven.
The reason why I brought it up is because cosmetics, no matter how much you put makeup on a pig, it's still a pig.
Well, I agree with you there.
Besides that, Mr. Santos there.
Yep.
He's going to get pardoned. He sucked enough Trump's, or you know what I mean, to the point he'll get pardoned. I don't see a reason why he won't.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be surprised if he doesn't. If Trump just
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. I've had personal conversations with George Santos, and obviously he wants one. My honest answer is I don't know. I think it's flip a coin. It could be you don't want a minority and someone who's gay, give them a pardon, or it could be the opposite of that. Let's give them a pardon because it'll make me look like a hero. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%.
I do find it interesting, though. Here's what I will say. Michele Fiore was supposed to be sentenced next week. She didn't even get sentenced yet, and Donald Trump pardoned her. He hasn't pardoned George Santos, and Santos was sentenced today. So could that be a sign of things to come? Maybe.
Maybe, but you're right. The knee pads for him haven't come off yet, so
that's true.
Obviously, he's still trying.
Well,
obviously, it's not enough for Trump, though, because you got to really, really get down.
That's true. You're right about that. You're right about that, my friend.
And there's one other thing I want to bring up. What the hell is going on with a judge getting arrested? What the hell is up with this? That is a full-on 100% dictatorship.
That's Kash Patel. Kash Patel is the mastermind behind that. Listen, I got to tell you. They say, politics, going after our political enemies, as far as the law is concerned, this is out of control right now. What is going on with this is out of control. You want to talk about going after political rivals. It is out of control what is going on in this country right now. It is insane. It's an insane asylum in Washington, D.C. right now. And I got to tell you, I am worried. It's only been 3 months. Imagine where we're going to be in 6 months and in a year from now. It's only been 3 months.
I know. You know what? And with all these protests going on saying, remove Trump for office, they're just going to stick J.D. Vance in. And what's going to happen then? It's just going to be just as bad. He's just dumb as rocks, too. He doesn't even know what he's doing he doesn't even know how to even wash himself, I bet.
Yeah, well, from what I've heard, he doesn't know how to wash himself, period. Every single person that I've spoken to, that's been anywhere close to him said the guy smells like diarrhea. So I know Trump smells. Can we start that hashtag again? Thank you for the call, my friend. I appreciate it. 702-221-7283. It wouldn't be a show without the MAGA destroyer, right? It wouldn't be a true show without Darlene. We got to give Darlene her time. Darlene, take the floor, my dear.
Hey, Brian. Brian, first of all, let me say this. Nerdy, you're doing a great job. We love you. Second of all, I want to do a shout out to Julie from yesterday. She said some kind words about me. I love her too. And third of all, I want to give a shout out to Michael from Ireland in the chat. He's a big fan of yours, Brian, and I wanted you to know that.
Thank you.
But what I was calling about, is it amazing that Trump wants to get all the criminals out of the country, but yet he keeps pardoning the criminals? What's up with that?
Well, I mean, he's a criminal himself. And Darlene, as I've said for a long time, and you know this, Donald Trump has never respected the rule of law ever since he was, 18, 19, 20 years old. This is a guy who never respected the rule of law before he ever got into public office. This was a man who was sued thousands of times, discrimination lawsuits that he had to pay out. This is a guy who tried to break the law and bend the rules in his favor his entire life. Now the problem is he's the president of the United States. The Supreme Court ruled in giving him immunity, and he believes he's above the law, and sadly he's behaving like he's above the law, and this is what happens.
And I agree with you, Brian. I don't think there should be any pardons on either side. I totally agree with you on that.
I agree. 100%. Get rid of all the pardons. My dear, I appreciate you, Darlene. I'll pardon you any day.
And with Nicole, when are you going to have Nicole back on the show? Because I love her.
I believe she couldn't come on today, but Nicole is planning on coming back next week, and she's great. So, Nicole.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to know.
You got it, Darlene.
Have
Thank
a
you.
great weekend.
Thank you, Darlene. You as well. You stay safe and appreciate you. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Terrence. Terrence is next up on PTL. Hey, Terrence, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. There's just a few things I want to get out the way. Okay. I'm a Kamala Harris voter. I door knocked in Arizona. But there's a few things I want to just discuss, if you don't mind.
Sure.
One, I work at 24 Hour Fitness. I make $16.68 an hour. And what I noticed when I got hired was state overtime requirements. Only one red state requires you to have requires overtime, meaning they can work you over 8 hours to the bone and have to give you a dang dime. And I tell people which side, every blue state requires overtime, which side really cares about family. Second, the thing that makes me super mad about about MAGA voters and saying Democrats are not with the times. Which blue states have every single 25 blue states, marijuana is legal. Which state locks you up for a little joint for 6 months to a year? Which state still does that? Who's up with the times? And lastly, one more than lastly, argument that I feel like people miss that makes me so frustrated. Kung flu, China virus, but this man wants credit for Operation Warp Speed, responsible for 1 million Americans dying, but you want to talk to me about Joe Biden's freaking bringing back our troops.
Yeah.
And even though Trump, more soldiers died under Trump than Biden, come on. I feel like that should be hit on the head more. We're talking about
let's talk about that. Hang on. I want to touch on what you just said. So you hear a lot of MAGA Republicans talking about the Afghan withdrawal. By the way, Bolton says that Trump's withdrawal was identical to it. But what they don't talk about is the over 60 soldiers that died in Afghanistan under Donald Trump's watch. But they don't. It's just like an undocumented immigrant committing a horrible crime and taking somebody's life in the Trump administration. You won't hear those people. It's only in the Biden administration. But if you look up the numbers, there were sadly a lot of people that lost their lives under the Trump administration. Law enforcement. Do you remember, sir, under the Biden administration, Donald Trump goes to the wake of that fallen officer in New York City? Do you remember that story?
I do.
Okay,
yes,
so
I do.
So here's what he does.
I do.
Yep. So here's what he does. There's a reason why I'm bringing this up. He does a press conference and does a photo op, meets with the family as if he cares. What about, can you name me, sir, one wake that Donald Trump went to. Sadly, there were police officers that lost their lives under the Trump administration. Can you name me one wake that Donald Trump went to of a fallen officer or soldier during the Trump administration?
Just because I'm informed like you, none, zero.
Exactly.
Zero, zada, nada. And my last point I want to make, just it's quick, it's my just last little point.
Sure.
Messaging. This is what makes me kind of frustrated with the Democratic Party, because in 2020, a lot of bad happened, but a lot of good things happened. The reason why Bernie Sanders, Joe Rogan to me was so, people were drawn to him was because things like this. The James Webb Space Telescope was launched into space, which means all evangelicals that remember the Big Bang Theory in the 90s from the Hubble, it said that we could see the edge of the universe. Humans really thought we were that arrogant.
Yep.
When the James Webb Space Telescope got launched, it proved that we can't see it. It's bigger than we imagined. So that's a plus for evangelicals. We told you God wouldn't let us see the ending. And my last one, today, if we want to talk about Democrats, we want to talk about not manufacturing overseas, which I disagree with, but I do believe we need to heavily invest in 3D printing now. We need to step into the modern day era. Like these things, people my age, because I'm 33, and a lot of I talk to a youth a lot. These are things that people are interested to get them fired up instead of talking to people with 1,000 pennies. Side note, sir, I did not go to college. I'm just a person that doesn't judge intelligence, but that's my point. But Democrats just throw a guy like me to the side. See what I'm saying?
Well, you don't. Yeah. Well, you're informed though, and you don't get your news from Fox Noise or Newsmax. You understand what's going on, and people want to call that woke. If you're awake and you're aware of your surroundings, then go ahead and call me woke. You're an educated man, and let's just be very clear on this. Most people who are educated in this country did not vote for Donald Trump. I'm glad that there are people like you out there and honored that you listen to the show, sir. Great phone call. You call back anytime. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Jonathan. Jonathan is next up on PTL. Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, sir. I'm a neighbor down here from the south of you. There's just two quick things I just want to bring up. Don't want to take too much of your time. First off, I'm a dealership mechanic. And as we're all aware, who knows what's going to happen with the tariffs right now. I work for a Japanese manufacturer company for cars. Don't have to say exactly which one, but really what's happening now for prices on parts, of course, have skyrocketed.
Right. Directly from the tariffs. Directly from tariffs.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, there's one bad thing happening because of it. A lot of people do have extended warranties on their vehicles. It's a typical thing. Now the problem is with the cost of parts coming, or how they're skyrocketing. Nowadays, extended warranties are trying to get even like cheaper parts, whether it be ordering from Amazon for us to replace.
Right.
It can be a dealership, but now the quality of parts are already now dropping. So I'm just informing on people who do have extended warranties. If your dealership or shop is gonna call for that, make sure that you are informed of what parts they are throwing in your car.
Jonathan, I want to ask you, because I appreciate your knowledge here, I want to ask you something. If you're speaking to a MAGA supporter or somebody that's ill-informed, I guess the two go hand in hand, and they said to you, you don't know what you're talking about, that's because of Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg, what would be your response to them?
I just say, come work with me. If people aren't going to believe me or anything, I just need to take them to where I am. Just be like, look, it's really not that hard. If they're asking for a burden of proof, I got it. Yeah. When it comes to people bringing up those claims, I ask them for burden of proof. What do we get? Nothing.
What would you say to somebody in your industry that voted for Donald Trump and continues to support him?
I hope it was worth it. Because our inventory or like our intake of service coming in, it's dropped within the past month significantly. Pretty slow throughout the days now.
Have people lost their jobs? Do you know of anybody in your industry that has lost work? Or
I mean, I'm in Southern Arizona. In our industry, there's a lot of people that do not want to work on cars anymore because of the pay. Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
It's an unfortunate thing.
Yeah.
I wish we could get paid.
What is going on with some of the wackadoodles in Arizona, like the Kerry Lakes of the world? You got some good people in Arizona, but you got some crazy people out there too, huh?
It's the Wild West.
It really is, isn't it? Didn't you guys have those ninjas, right? Didn't they do a recount with the ninjas and they found more votes for Joe Biden? Didn't that happen in Arizona?
I don't remember that, honestly. I'm in a Democratic. It's mainly a Democrat county. I'm in the south.
Yeah.
Of Arizona.
Can I?
You know, I'm only like. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have to bring this up to you because you might appreciate this story. Are you aware of who Sacha Baron Cohen is? Right, he's the guy who played Borat. He's the comedian. You know who that is?
Yeah, he did a movie about it was about the protesting.
Correct,
in Chicago,
correct. So he did a show called This Is America. If you haven't checked it out, it's a show he did on Showtime, right? He did a segment in Arizona, okay? And the segment he did in Arizona was he's disguised as a different man so nobody would recognize him. And he gets these groupthink people in a room, and I guess they got paid like $100, like 30 people in Arizona, right? And he wanted to get their opinions. And he says that they were going to be building a mosque in a small town in Arizona, and it was paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign, and you had the most vile racist, and obviously he was joking, but they were so stupid they didn't know that. And this was a group of white people, I would imagine probably MAGA supporters, that were saying some of the most vile, racist things when he made this announcement. It's an unbelievable 5 or 6 minute clip that I would ask that you watch, because it's while Sacha Baron Cohen is being very funny and he's mocking the ignorant racist people, you just got a sense of how dumb some of these people are in this small town. They were so angry that a mosque was going to be built that they just thought that, you know, their entire city would be bombed. I mean, that's how stupid these people are. So I would ask that you watch that and maybe call me back, because I think you'll get some laughs at it and you'll be also shaking your head.
Okay. There's just one small thing left I need to say.
Sure.
Just for everyone, there's nothing wrong with empathy. It's not a sin. Keep doing it and keep your head up.
Very well said, my friend. Great phone call. Man, I got some great callers, don't I? Some very educated people that call into the show. Thank you, Mr. Canadian. He says, thanks for taking my call. I'll be calling back at some point. Canada will elect Carney on the 28th. He'll help Canada fight against Trump. Canada, elbows up. Well, thank you, Mr. Canadian. I love my Canadian listeners. You know, I get listeners from all over the world. And some of my Canadian callers are some of my favorite callers. They're just wonderful people. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. All right, let's see. Who are we going to next here? Before I get to the enemy from within, which is, by the way, a great name. Thank you for your donation, just helping hit your goal. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Let's see here. Let's go to Hugo. Hugo is calling up next on PTL. Hi, Hugo.
Hey, Brian. I want to keep on the trend of talking about the YouTube super chat today, and more so nerdy. Nerdy.
Hold on.
It is day one.
Hold
on. It is day one, and you got people calling in, crying about people talking in the chat. I thought this was pushing the limits.
Okay, so Hugo, I will respond to that because now you're talking to me, okay? I've never had a moderator in my chat, and I don't really want to waste more time talking about this, but I will with you for a few moments, okay? If you have an issue with anything or somebody something saying, then you could let me know. On social media, and I'm speaking in general terms as a whole right now, it's turned vile, whether it's X, whether it's YouTube. There's a lot of people that are very angry with their lives, and it makes them feel better to take out their anger on others in a chat. Now, I'm not speaking in specific terms, but I can tell you that the person who is moderating is out for my best interest and the interest of the show. And guess what? I'm the one in charge, Hugo. So if you have a problem with something, then don't talk about somebody else. Talk about me. Hugo, what's your problem with me? Let's have a conversation, Hugo. Maybe we can do it in a respectful manner. Hugo, what's your problem with me?
I don't really have that many problems with you. I guess if we're going to talk a little bit of politics here, and this maybe goes out to more like the left-leaning people, but what's the obsession with saying that, you know, Trump, it wasn't a mandate. It wasn't a mandate. What's the obsession?
So first of all, it's not an obsession when I call out something that people say that is not true. Why would you characterize that as an obsession? So if I make a statement, hold on. If I say Donald Trump did not win the 2020 election, would you say I'm obsessed? Is that an obsession, sir? Who won the 2020 election, sir?
Oh, Biden did.
Thank you.
Okay,
I appreciate that. So why do you sound obsessed? Why would you call out something that's fiction? You just did the same thing that I am doing. It was not a mandate. It's not an obsession. Donald Trump did not. You're right. Donald Trump did not win the 2020 election. Donald Trump is the one that's obsessed with it. Donald Trump is the one that still hasn't conceded.
Okay.
And Republicans are the ones that still say it's a mandate. Sir, if you don't get 50% of the vote, it's not a mandate. Why would you say that's an obsession for somebody like me to call out idiots. I'm not saying you, idiots that say it's a mandate. You're an idiot if you think this was a mandate. He didn't get 50% of the vote of people that voted. It's the morons on the right that keep calling it a mandate. Did Democrats call Joe Biden's win a mandate? Did Democrats call Barack Obama's win a mandate? Joe Biden won by far many more votes than Donald Trump did. Why is it the Republicans that are obsessed? I'll throw it right back on you. Why are Republicans obsessed and call it a mandate?
What I'm saying, what mainly is I'm getting at is that it's the semantics of it.
What do you mean the
Normally,
semantics?
The argument in 2016 was, oh, Trump won the Electoral College but didn't win the popular vote. Now that he won both, it's like, well, he didn't. More people voted against him. Or like, guess what? 2 million more people voted against the Democrats.
So what? What's your point?
Exactly. Like, so what? Like,
it's not a mandate.
I don't see the obsession of like saying, oh, it's not a mandate. It's not a mandate. You sweep all the swing states.
Okay, hold on. Let me, sir. Are you aware that the swing states combined were won by about 300,000 votes? So when you say swing state, or let me ask you a question. Let's see if you can be factually accurate, sir. Was it a mandate? Did Donald Trump win? Was it a mandate, sir? Because something tells me you think that it was. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't depend. Was it a mandate? Yes or no? Answer the question.
I think so.
Okay, well then you're an imbecile. He didn't get 50%. Then you're an imbecile. No, it's not. He didn't get, okay, yes, you are. He didn't get 50% of the vote. No wonder why you're talking like this. Because you echo, okay, so was Joe Biden's win a mandate?
You can make that
argument. Oh, it was.
Too.
You can make that argument too. Okay, was Barack Obama's win a mandate?
Yes.
Sir, let me explain. Let me give you a little bit of history.
Which one?
Okay, sir, because I think you're struggling with history. Sir, is it factually accurate?
You are.
Okay, so yeah, right. The guy who says it's a mandate and wants to bitch and cry about some moderator. First of all, sir, this was one of the closest. Will you shut up and listen? You don't run my show. I do. Shut up and listen. You're just a caller. I can hang up on you anytime. Okay, sir, was this one of the closest elections in American history? Yes or no? Answer the question, you freaking dope. Answer the question. Yes or no? Was this one of the closest elections in American history? Yes or no? Answer the question, idiot.
All right,
you don't know. Okay. Exactly. You don't know because you're an imbecile. Pot him down for a minute. No. Shut up. I'm the one who's potting you down there because it's my show, not yours. I'll do whatever I want, you dope. This is how stupid this guy is. Yes, sir, you're an ignoramus. This was one of the closest elections in American history. Okay, John F. Kennedy was another one, and there were a few others. It was one of the closest elections in American history. He won the popular vote by 1.4%. How can I have a discussion with you when you don't even know what the hell you're talking about? It wasn't a mandate. It was one of the closest elections in American history, and you are a MAGA buffoon. Repeat after me. I'm a MAGA buffoon snowflake who's angry because a moderator said something I didn't like. You're a snowflake.
The obsession.
Why don't you repeat it again? I'm a snowflake because somebody in the chat, a moderator, said something that I didn't like. I'm a snowflake. Repeat after me, bozo. I say that Trump won, and it was a mandate because I'm an uneducated, ill-informed, middle-aged white guy who voted for Donald Trump. Repeat after me. I'm a snowflake. Please say that, sir. You are a snowflake. Admit it. You're a snowflake. If you don't like what's on my chat, then get the hell out and go somewhere else. You have the right to do that. You decided to call into the show and bitch because you're a whiny little bitch. That's what you are. Repeat after me. I'm a whiny Trump-supporting bitch. That's what you are.
Brian stole $38,000.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, you dope. Whiny bitch dope. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Bye-bye, whiny bitch. Let's go to Dave. Dave is next up on PTL. Hey, Dave, what's going on?
Can I be a whiny bitch? Oh, I'm just kidding.
What an idiot. What an idiot, Dave. Okay, the guy says he won in a mandate. The guy doesn't even know what a mandate is. What a dope.
You should have given him a trophy.
Yeah, his clown outfit is in the mail.
Hey, I have a good question for you. I know the enemy within, because I subscribe to his channel.
Yes.
Really, he's a trucker. Great guy. Great guy. I've actually talked to him. He actually emailed me one time, and now I talk to him every now and then. But he's a cool guy. But I have a really good question for you. Really good question. Anybody can have a YouTube. channel. Easy.
Correct.
Just,
yep.
You know, you can create your own YouTube channel. You can create your own channel and get subscribers. It's so easy and get paid. It's really, really easy.
Sure.
I have my own.
Mm-hmm.
I have my own, but I don't do it as much because you know why? Because my job. I'm trying to protect my job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but I have a really good question for you, and this is probably $1 million question. All right. So when you now the enemy within, they always say, you know, they always do the cursing and all the kind of stuff and so forth, but you don't do as much cursing. But YouTube allows it on other channels, but you don't do it on your channel. Is it because of the sponsors that you have? Is it because you're protecting your sponsor and your sponsor is telling you not to, to explore any kind of explicitives or whatever, any kind of curse words because you're protecting the sponsor? Is that probably what it is? I'm just curious. Wasn't too sure.
I don't necessarily protect sponsors. Yeah, we don't. I don't know what you mean by that. Help me understand that question.
Well, like for example, KGO News Talk 810 Radio in San Francisco, right? They got sponsors.
Yeah.
And they're protected by the FCC. You're not allowed to curse or say any F word or the B.
Okay. So I will. You're a little bit off topic to what we're talking about. But yeah, in general terms, there are different regulations, whether you're on a radio station or whether it's YouTube or TikTok or Twitter. There are different rules and regulations for different platforms, but we'll talk about that another day. Let's go to Aaron. Aaron is next up on PTL. Hello, Aaron. Is Aaron there? Does Aaron speak? Aaron?
Hey, Brian, you feel sensitive about the mandate?
Okay, so you're the same guy. So it's okay. So a guy wants to call. That's why we don't take calls like that. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Dave. Dave is next up on PTL. Hey, Dave. Thanks for calling in. We lost Dave. Let's go to Keith. Keith is next up on PTL. Hey, Keith. What's going on?
Hi, Brian. Longtime listener. First time I've ever called in. But I had something. I just wanted to plant a seed. I'm a retired federal law enforcement officer after 25 years. And I know the topic today are pardons, and people are talking about pardons. Law enforcement, that's a real demoralizing thing that happens to us when we spend a lot of time investigating somebody, then they end up pardoned. But my caution is that if you're upset about the pardons now, what's going to happen when Trump's term comes to the end, and what would keep him from releasing everybody from the prisons?
Well, that's a very good question. Yeah, that's a good question that you ask. Yeah,
turning the wolves loose, so to speak, on all the sheep.
That's the problem with giving the president immunity and giving the president the power. That's the problem. So I think that's a good question that you ask, and I would say nothing. I would say nothing. I mean, the great thing, at least in this country for the most part, is we have checks and balances. We don't have it when it comes to the Trump administration. That's the issue that we are in right now. It's a very serious constitutional crisis.
Well, the only check that there would be is if Congress were to reinstate impeachment charges to prevent him from actually being able to do that at the end of his term. And that's something that, 2-3 years down the road, people need to really be exploring with their representatives, because I was worried about if Putin were to become critically ill. He has all the nukes, so people do strange things when they think, well, I'll just take these people with me when I go.
Right.
And I think people just need to be aware. I know that there's so many distractions right now.
Sure.
But they're not thinking in the long term.
Well, I agree with you, my friend, and that's the problem with people that are complicit, but they'll call people like us woke because we're aware of our surroundings. I appreciate the call, my friend. Thank you. 702-221-7283. We are rounding out the show. We're going to take a few more calls. Let's go to Beverly. Beverly is next on PTL. Hi, Beverly.
Hi, Ben. How are you?
Hey, good, thanks. What's on your mind?
I've been listening to some of your people calling in. The problem that I have is that if Donald Trump has the immunity which the court gave him, and he used that to pardon the people who tried to help him steal the election before, and he should be in jail himself. This is why he wants to stay in power, so he can continue to do what he's doing and continue to release people who are criminals, while he sends innocent people who came here for, of freedom and to have a better life. He sends them to the worst prison in the world. So I don't. My feeling is the Supreme Court needs to retract their, their decision on him having immunity, because all he's doing is doing what he said, and that was to take retaliation and revenge.
So I agree with you, and the problem that we are facing right now as a country, regardless of whether the Supreme Court is stacked or not, is the fact that the Supreme Court just ruled 9-0 in a case involving this man who was sent to El Salvador from Maryland, and Donald Trump is defying the Supreme Court. If he's willing to defy the Supreme Court and has no respect for the rule of law, what's next? Let's go to Al. Al is next up on PTL. Hello, Al.
Hey, Brian, I'm really new to all this, right? And I see the chat going by and people talking about a moderator mentioning Alan, which is me. I don't understand it, don't really care. So anyways, you're doing a great job. And I believe there's 5 branches of government, which would be what? The Supreme Court, the President, Congress, Supreme Court, and the people.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah,
but
no.
but here's the problem. The people are not the ones that are going to be able to tell Donald Trump what to do. The people are not going to be able to put Donald Trump in check. And the Supreme Court ruled 9-0, and Donald Trump decided to defy that. Yes, the people do vote, but the people, many in this country, especially those that are not rich, elitist tech billionaires, are not able to hold Donald Trump in check. In fact, nobody is. And those are the times that we are living in right now. And that's why I say this is a constitutional crisis. It really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Al, I appreciate your call, my friend. Thank you so much. Let's go to John. John is next up on PTL. Hey, John.
Good afternoon, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Been a long-time listener, first-time caller. I've been hearing things about Michele Fiore. I personally don't think it's that big of a deal because everyone makes mistakes.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Making a mistake is locking your keys in your car. I don't think it's a mistake when you steal money from a charity of a fallen officer. That's not a mistake. That's a despicable crime. You're stealing from people that want to honor a fallen officer. That's not just a mistake where we could just slap you on the wrist and say, have a nice day. You don't think Michele Fiore should spend any time in jail for what she did?
I think maybe they should fine her, but I think prison's a little bit too much.
They should fine her. So how much should they fine her? The amount of money that she stole from people?
Maybe like $20,000.
Okay, 20. Okay, so if I went into a bank and I robbed a bank and I stole $100,000, I shouldn't go to jail. I should just pay a fine. Are you okay with that?
No, you should go to jail.
Okay, so what's the difference between stealing from a charity to enrich yourself and stealing from a bank? What's the difference?
Well, what did Dr. Fauci do?
I'm not talking about Dr. Fauci. Answer my question.
Did he get a
I'm not talking about Dr. Fauci. You don't answer a question. No. It's my show. You don't tell me what to do. If you're going to answer my question or I'm going to move on to the next caller. You just said Michele Fiore made a mistake. You don't think she should go to jail. I said, if I went into a bank and I stole money, should I go to jail? You said yes. What's the difference between what Michele Fiore did and what somebody does that goes into a bank and steals money? What's the difference? Tell me.
Michele Fiore is standing up for the people. She's a
all right. Well, you're an idiot. Then you're an idiot. She's not. So stealing money from people is standing up for the people. You're an imbecile. You're a clown. You're not even worth my time. Let's go to Kathy. Kathy's next. What's up, Kathy?
Hey, Brian. Just wanted to point out that getting on the knee pads with Trump will get you into big trouble.
True.
And get you a lot of heartache. I hear that Sarah Huckabee Sanders is begging Trump for disaster aid for Arkansas, and he turned her down flat.
Mm-hmm.
It's just being so disrespectful, and not for her because you know I don't feel any kind of way about her, but I feel for the people who have lost their homes, lost their livelihood to disaster, and this president who claims to be for the people, particularly in red states, isn't doing anything for them. Same with Savannah, Georgia. They had a $30 million grant to shore up their water and their flood supplies, and FEMA cut that. Now, just wanted to make one point. Jared Moskowitz on his website.
Go ahead. I have 30 seconds, my dear. Go ahead.
Okay. Jared Moskowitz claims that he's going to be working with Byron Donalds on FEMA.
Yeah.
And that kind of gives me the side eye.
Well, here's the and thank you, by the way, for the call, my dear. And I'm with you. If there's a hurricane or a natural disaster with Donald Trump as president, good luck getting that FEMA money. Good luck. Let's hope that doesn't happen, my dear, but I hear you're concerned. Thank you for Mr. Canadian. Says, I'm concerned for the 2028 election. I think the military will get involved. I don't want to see that, but if Trump runs for a third term, the military will get involved. That's IMO. Please don't yell at me, bud. I'm just going off my heart. Why would I yell at you, Mr. Canadian? I think you're right. I would never yell at you, and I appreciate your support. And sadly, these are very weird times that we are living in. All right, a couple things to clean up here. First of all, I want to thank our moderator who did a great job. And I appreciate her very, very much. And, there are certain rules and regulations that we need to abide by in the YouTube chat and in the chats in general on social media. And if people are willing to do that, great. If they're not willing to do that, then they're probably not going to be there very long. That's all. So I appreciate her. I think she did a great job. And I appreciate all of you for joining us. I really do hope that everybody has a wonderful and safe weekend. I know that these are difficult times that we are living in, but we're always going to have you guys out there. And we'll always have the platform on this show to speak your mind. Whether you're a MAGA supporter or not, I'll always give anybody a chance. So thank you all for joining us. I appreciate you all very much. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. And we will see you on Monday. Check out my website, pushingthelimits.live, where you can make donations and help support what we do here on the show. And we appreciate you guys. And thank you, Nerdy, for what you do. You know how much I appreciate you. We will take a weekend break. We'll be back at it on Monday live. Same time, same place. Oh, we got some big guests lined up for you next week. I can't wait to tell you on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.